Now, the concept of a major scale is drilled into us all from day one. If you go into a kiddie store and you find a little xylophone, it's going to be tuned to a major key. It'll do, and then you'll have a little leaflet with it that tells you what notes to play for various tunes. And at Christmas you can have too much to drink and then try those little bells where each of you holds a bell and you're trying to play a tune, and then you can watch the telly instead. Now, in the 1960s, lots and lots of pop songs were in major keys. It was all about, how much is that doggie in the window, the one with the straggly tail? And that's fine. Now, nowadays, most pop songs, 60% and growing, are in the minor key. But this wouldn't work. How much is that doggie in the window, the one with the straggly tail? It kind of doesn't really function. Now, one of the reasons why these xylophones in the kiddie store are tuned to a major key is because, generally speaking, there's only one major scale. One construction. Of course, you can have it in other keys. That's fine. But the concept is the same. The distances between those notes, the intervals, are the same, regardless of the key. Minor scales, however, there's quite a lot of them. If you do your classical exams at ABRSM, for example, you will have most likely the harmonic minor. Now, of course, the xylophone in the kiddie store wouldn't be tuned to that, because you'd have the child coming to the bedside at night going, "Oh, Mummy, I dreamt the xylophone came and ate me." So, you've also got melodic minor, which is the only scale that changes when it comes down versus going up. I think it's time to explain those two. Now, the harmonic minor, its name conveys the fact that it is dealing with the harmonic backdrop. So, for the classical era, for example, you have tonic and dominant, whether it's major or minor. But chord 5, if I've got C minor here, chord 5 is a major chord. It has that note in, which is why partly you have this. That's called the leading note, and it's the same whether it's major or minor. And it's designed to lead on to your tonic, or your resolved sort of chord 1. The 7th in there. I got all jazzy there for a minute. Now, also in this scheme of C minor, you'd have chord 4, which is F minor, and that's got an A flat in. So you have your chords 1, 4 and 5 in a minor key. Now, if you're dealing with Roman numerals, chord 1 would be a lowercase letter. So would chord 4. So you'd have a little 1 and a V for chord 4, and then chord 5 would be a large V because it's a major chord, and it might also have the 7 attached. So the dominant 7th. So we've got our scale then, which has all of those chords built into it. C minor has got the root, the 3rd and the 5th. F minor has got the 4th and then the flat 6th and the root in C. And then we have G, which is the 5th, the 7th and then the 2nd of that scale. Just an octave down there. So that scale contains all the melodic things necessary for this. Fine, that works. Now, the only trouble is when if you want to improvise over that, you're going to have a few problems with one or two of the notes. For example, this C minor that's going to grate a little bit because that A flat there is basically helping out the F minor section of your chord sequence. So you've got to know which notes you can use over those 3 chords that you have. Now, this gives rise to other minor scales. We've got C minor. You could take that flattened 6th there, the A flat, and raise it to an A. That is the melodic minor now. Now, the reason for the melodic minor changing, going up and coming down, is that the melodic minor going up means that you're coming to your root note. Whereas if we come down from that root, we flatten those degrees coming down. So there are your sort of the 2 classical minors, if you like. At grade 6 ABRSM you have to play both of those, and you can choose between them from grades 1 to 5. So there's your melodic minor, which deals with the melody side, and the harmonic minor, which conveys your harmony overall. Now, so far then, what's happened is that the notes 1 to 5 are the same in both of those minor forms. It's what happens afterwards that's been changed. So we have, if I was to combine those scales, I'd have a little sort of chromatic romp at the top. So if you are improvising in a minor key, you can chromaticize that top section. You can start to do that sort of thing. Now, this gives rise to some other things, some other modes. Now, we have this, where we have that 6th problem is resolved in C minor. And also the B flat, if I had the B over that C minor, it becomes a minor major 7, which is quite a sort of complicated and not often used chord, apart from in James Bond. So, now we have this. It's C major scale, but I flattened the 3rd to make it minor, and I flattened the 7th to make it compatible with that root chord, and that's called the Dorian mode. I could also re-flatten the 6th to get the Aeolian mode, and that's also called the natural minor. Now, there are other minor modes, or modes that go better with minor chords at least, which is kind of beyond the scope of this. Really, I think to get started, if you've got those 4, the harmonic minor, the melodic minor, the Dorian and the Aeolian or natural minor, you've pretty much covered all of your bases. The other modes tend to flatten degrees that are lower than the 5th. So the 1st to the 5th are left untouched, and then it's what happens after. I mean, Phrygian, for example, has a D flat. And you're getting into some quite modern sort of harmony there. It's great, you know. Now, when you're improvising, just as a general sort of tip, try to avoid going up or down the scale. Try picking random degrees that you know work. You could use octaves, tremolando for example, if you're on piano at any rate. Or you could try maybe going up in 4ths, for example. And then making any necessary corrections. Or, so I played my major 3rd going up. keep going, you get back to your root note. So there's a lot that you can do with this. So I hope that explanation of minors sort of gets you sort of a little bit further into improvising over your minor key.